February 25th, 9:47 AM, District Court, Defendant, Lobby number 2. Hello everyone, Triple S back, it's more Phoenix Wright yesterday Trilogy. Just to say, I'm very tired because I didn't sleep well and I'm not feeling entirely great in my stomach area. So apologies if I just don't sound that great, but I really want to keep recording this and get it finished because I'm almost close to finishing the first game. And if you remember last time, we searched. It might as well be a church, it's got a flipping giant organ in there, but we searched Gant's office last time and we found him hiding a bunch of stuff. A piece of, like, leather clothing looking kind of thing, like, I don't know, with a handprint on it. And then a bit of the pottery that was part of that vase. And the second half of an evidence list with, on the back of it, a drawing of someone looking like they're going to stab someone else. So it's all a bit suspect that that guy has been keeping evidence and forging evidence and all that stuff. So let's see what happens now. This is going to be the first part of 3 parts of being in the courtroom to finish off this case. This is the defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? Where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777 ID number is, that is. Oh yeah, that's Gant's number. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Yep. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incidents. Don't be stupid, today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? Edgeworth, I love you so much that you're no longer a meanie. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. February 25th, 10 AM, District Court, Courtroom number 9. How many courtrooms do they have? Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defence is ready, Your Honour. The prosecution is ready, Your Honour. Normally this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statements. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant? Oh, there he is. There we go. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, G. Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Come on, out with it, goddammit. Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. We should refuse that. But I guess we don't. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honour, I'd like it to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. No, Lana! You can't. Your Honour, the defendant's claim does not change the defence's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana, Your Honour, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case with the testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. The request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening! It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendants... There we go. One moment, Your Honour. Miss Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, huh? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, huh? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. Huh. I thought so. Your Honour, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Miss Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue... I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. Take that. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Get this stupid orange git out of here. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. And help us, thank God. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. Occupation, I'm Lana's little sister and I want to be a scientific investigator. Well, I guess Edgeworth has no problem with that. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave in fast. If that was Wright saying that, the judge would have been all over it. But because it's Edgeworth. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. 2 years ago. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Miss Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honour. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, the defence may begin its cross-examination. We've got to go to statement 4, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instance. 1, 2, 3, 4, we press. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on dark. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. Detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Hear more? Hear more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yep, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yep, but at the time the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honour. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Well, guess what, Emma? I found it with, I think it's this one. Let's see. Yep. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honour. Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed. 2 men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These 2 lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Miss Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? Order, order. But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honour. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honour, are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible... Let's see... Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honour. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. How has he never checked? How has he just never thought, like, oh, I'll turn it over and like, oh my god, it's that thing. That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Evidence list restored and updated in the court record. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honour. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defence may now begin its cross-examination. Again, we're going to go to statement 4, but we're not pressing this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instance. We present... Where is it? That's Goodman's autopsy report. Where is Neil's? Stabbed in the back and died from a punctured heart and lung. That's the problem here. Because the picture shows someone about to be stabbed in the front. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? Huh? What do I point to here? Oh, I guess it wasn't the being stabbed in the front then, because... The knife? I'm so confused. The knife's already broken. In the picture it's just a square, but contradiction of course lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have to look closer to see that, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah! What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. I guess that actually statement is probably because normally playing this game you'd press everything, so he would be constantly asking her, do you remember this right, do you remember this right, do you remember this right? But because I didn't press everything, or anything for that matter, then of course he didn't get annoyed because, you know, but I guess he would have if history had taken a different turn and I pressed everything. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ah! Order, order, order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honour, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King Prosecutor's Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. Oh hey, I just saw the vase in the background there. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Somehow. even though the door probably should have been locked. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? Yeah, there is another one. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. What do I point out here? The photo. The Gantt team picture. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Yeah! What is it, Miss Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Order, order, order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Miss Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors award knife was the murder weapon, the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait! I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribble on the back? I knew it! This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honour. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Amend my guide. And this, I assume, will be the last testimony for this part. Emma's recollection. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The Chief of Detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defence may now begin its cross-examination. Oh. Stop! Please! Don't pursue this any further! Lana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this! I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. You've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence! The defence will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter, either one. Sometimes I predict what's going to be at the end of a sentence, and I always get it wrong. Okay, we're going to statement 5. He wasn't in the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wasn't in the room. Observer shadow. Press. Shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really? I just might know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen of the courtroom, it is the defence's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instance? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike. Ah, I'm choking to death. I got like some heartburn or something that's been affecting me like all night, and it's making me burpy. So if I sound weird, it's the unstable jar. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoints? Our viewpoints? We've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Here's the problem though. This game can be a bit finicky, so it might take me a few tries. Oops, I'm pressing the wrong... No, I'm doing that right, aren't I? Wait. See, you would think, like, maybe that's right? Or maybe... I can't get it to look properly now. Maybe that? I don't know. Because then or maybe it could be like... It can't be like that, can it? So it has to be like... that, but then how far do I go with it? I'm gonna go with that for now and see if they say... This isn't right, but I'm making... Oh, for God's sake. I don't know, friends. Drawing camera to shape due. I've got to find just the right angle. Maybe I should rotate vertically a bit more horizontally. This is the pain. No, it's not like that, is it? It's gotta be... Maybe it's this way. Or maybe it's like that. See, I can never get this right. It's such a pain. Oh, come on! That looks exactly like it! Screw you! That is close enough. Stupid. Bloody thing. That was perfect. Come on. You could not think that that didn't look like it. I mean, how far did they want me to go with it? Does it need to be like that? There we go, God's sake. Don't you honk at me outside. I tried my best, alright? I tried my best! I got it on the third try though, third time lucky. Well, is this a miracle or what? That's the worst part, is that I wish it actually changed that so that it automatically presented itself once you got it in the right position instead of just trying to guess by eyesight. It's so annoying. No one could possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger. Sorry, bit of a rant there, but I was always dreading this part. I'm glad you don't lose anything for doing that. No, it can't be! That's what I should have said. Order, order. The defence has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? The location, the murder weapon, the murder. The location. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gantz. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it's these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gantz's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gantz's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall? Ladies and gentlemen of the courtroom, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah! Suit of armour, holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armour was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless... I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defence theorises, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall... Oh, God. That is... not good. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Ah, she passed out again. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life. and then prove so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. She didn't do it on purpose, though. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Oh, how wrong you are, Wright. You'll see in the future, my poor young rookie attorney. Even though you're not really a rookie anymore, but this has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Huh. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Miss Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. Well, we've already shown it once, so we might as well show it again. This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is a line here drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used a few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar with the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No! Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honour, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Right, so how does this work? If I pick that one, go to there, and then this one to here, this one to here. I don't think I need to connect this one to anything, no I don't. Let me do this one to here, and this one to here. This one to there, this one to there, this one to there, and this one to there, and this one to here. Pretty sure that's it. There we go. It's the defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. God. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know, we aren't defenders of justice. What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. Oh god, the crowd's going crazy again. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death! How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order, order, order! Order! The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued! Wow. So, Emma Skye mistakenly killed Neil Marshall because she thought it was actually Joe Dark holding up the broken knife. Wow. That's not the end, though. That's not the end. Next time, we'll find out what's going to happen. You know, don't know who's going to be the next witness. You know, no one said anything. We just have to see what happens after the recess. Whew. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I shall see you all next time. Goodbye. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you decide to subscribe to the channel, that would be amazing, and ding that bell to be the first to hear about my new videos. Thanks again, and I shall see you all next time. Goodbye.